Greetings everyone, this is Tony Holowitz, and in this tutorial I want to talk to you about some settings in Linktivity. So when you log into Linktivity, there are two areas in my opinion that you have to think about some settings. The first one I discussed earlier, which is the Act Web API settings. It's how this software connects to your Act data. But the second set of settings is your general settings. Now when I'm on this page, I can get the general settings right here. But also, I tend to find that once I navigate away from this page to get to the settings, I'll get to it a different way. Now, what I wish they would do is under the Act Web API settings, I wish they'd put something here that says general settings. I think that would make sense. Having said that, I'm going to come up and click on the hamburger. And when I get here, here's general settings. When I click on this, it gives me a drop down. And I'm going to click on summary, but I want you to note that there's really at this point in time 5 areas we're going to talk about. So I'm going to click on summary, and now it takes us here. So the summary is really a summary of my account. It's also contains some information about my account right here. Now, if it were up to me, I would change it so that my profile is second in front of the workspace settings. That's just my opinion. But having stated that, I'm going to click on Workspace Settings, and I'll just give you a little information. Some of this stuff I set up at the very beginning when I created my account. So now as I look back on this, I'm not 100% sure the relevance of this area. I'm sure when I first set things up, it was apparent to me. But this is the Workspace Settings, and I think this comes more into play when in the future you might add someone else to your account, maybe an employee or someone else that can do quotes. So I had to give the workspace, the area in which I work as my account, a name. I called it Tony's Workspace. This is the alias that was created, my organization, and some basic settings here, time zone, date format, and that all makes sense. Now this information, I believe, came over from when I set up the Act Web API. I might be wrong on that, but that is something that I think happened. So again, because there's so many settings here, sometimes when you look back on it, it can be a little confusing. The outgoing emails. Now, this is an area that I've set up in a couple different places, so I don't know if they're carrying over, but I have an Office 365 Microsoft Exchange account. I've set that all up. I've tested it. So this page is good. It's rare when I ever come back to this page. Now, having said that, the next thing is team and permissions. And this sort of is a breakdown of if you have a team and you have multiple people working in your account, this is where you can give them permissions to different software you might have purchased for them. So it's sort of a control panel for your entire team. And I think this is a good thing if you have a bigger account. Here is the My Profile. And this is where I think really you need the most information and you need to prepare for this tab. So in a nutshell, what we're going to do at this point is we're going to enter some information. We want to have a photo of ourselves that we can enter over here on the right. We want some general information. We want to think about an email signature. Again, there are times when I'm not sure where this comes into play based on the way some emails go out. But it's a good idea. What I did is my general email signature from Microsoft Outlook, I just copied it and pasted it right here. This is my Act login for my database. Again, I did this over on the API, so I'm not 100% sure the relevance of it being here again. Down here, the mailer settings. Now, I showed previously I had set up some settings in the email. So again, I'm not sure why this is here. I'm not sure why I have to do this again. So as I go through this, I'm telling you my observations, my thoughts, and the reasons why I'm getting into this. So as a rule of thumb, you might find as you get into different software, they have settings, but I'm referring to the general settings for the account. And I've gone through and filled this out. And for the most part, I don't have to come back here. Pending emails is something that I just haven't dealt with yet. I haven't had emails that are waiting to go out. It's just not the way I've set it up. So I might have to revisit this. But the key point I want to make is when you first get into Linktivity, you're going to have the Act Web API, which is really the first thing you want to set up, in my opinion. Then some of the general settings. In some of these areas, you might not have to come back to. But to clarify, when you get into something like Link2Quotes, which is the focus of my training here, What I believe can be a little confusing when you're getting going is they have a settings area right here. And we're going to talk about this in a little more detail. But when you hear the word settings, it's like, wait, is it settings for this particular product, or are we talking about the general settings? So I just want to clarify that a little bit as we get into this, because I found that a little bit confusing. And again, keep in mind, the good folks over at Keystroke, they're developing these products, and I'm making these observations and comments so that they can see them and also be aware of some of my thoughts and ideas as a consumer who's coming in and learning this, so I can help you learn it. Anyway, that's the end of this tutorial. I want to thank you so very much for your time, and you have a great day. If you have any questions, as always, my name is Tony Holowitz. You can always reach out to me. Be well, my friends. Bye now.